I don't hear you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Coast to Coast podcast. We're here live with Michelle. Michelle, how you doing today?
I am so good. I am like decompressing, Javen, because we were hit with our first major snowfall in Wisconsin.
Oh,
And we had spent the last 2 days at work workshopping, what is going on for the next couple years. And of course, as luck would have it, like always, we got stuck with a winter storm for our trip home. So, what normally takes me like an hour and a half took me like 3 hours, David, to
yeah.
get home. And it's still coming down. So I'm not looking forward to the drive home because I live about 35 minutes here from the office. So I'm not looking forward to it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I can't imagine that snow.
Has it ever snowed in Louisiana?
I think it snowed when I was 8 years old, I believe. When I was 8 years old. I
Did it
think it
touch
did
the
snow.
ground?
It did actually, yeah, because we made snowballs or snowmen or we made iceman, one of those. So I don't know what it was, but I remember making them. But the thing is, when you make them, you see the grass clearly, so it wasn't very thick snow.
Ugh. Oh, but from what I hear too, I hear you've got some good news.
Yes,
Congratulations are in order,
I
Javen.
appreciate that. So yeah, in the network, I was moved to back to my beautiful state of Louisiana. I'm so happy to be here, back to be here. So I'm gonna be doing pretty much what I was doing in my original role with doing tours and talking to folks about the high cost of things, taxes, things like that. But doing it back here in Louisiana and staying here, I mean, there's no better place than back home. Tip O'Neill said he was former Speaker of the House. He said all politics are local, and I think that's so important. And that's kind of why I wanted to come back to Louisiana and do what I'm doing now. I'm gonna be building coalitions, talking to businesses, voters about why we need to keep taxes lower and why we need to keep America free and the government out of our way.
I love that. So if you're watching at home, leave a comment of congratulations to Javen. And you made a good point too of all government starts locally. And I actually last night, I was like, I guess elected, uh, but the town board voted me in to be the library trustee.
That's
So small
awesome.
potatoes, smaller little piece of our local government. But it's a really exciting opportunity. I love our library. We have our mission is we're a little library with big ideas.
Yep.
So I'm excited to dig deep and look into that.
Well, got to give you cheering for that one because that's amazing. Yeah, politics are local. I mean, you start there, but so much stuff you can do on the local level that's so more important than what we see on the federal level that actually impacts our day to day life. People don't really understand that, but it's glad that people are getting involved in actually doing stuff, which is
Yeah,
great.
and that's where my heart and my passion is the local politics. I sat on the firearms committee with them, and it took us a good 7 years to restore the ability for us to
Wow.
target shoot in our backyard.
Wow.
So that was actually overturned in 2017. And then we spent the next 7 years just petitioning and talking to the board, and they weren't willing to hear us out. So
Yeah.
what did we do as a small town that didn't like that as the majority? We voted them out, and we voted in, the folks that listen to us and that want to keep us fiscally responsible
Yeah.
and be able to have those Second Amendment freedoms. So
Yeah.
we were able to just this year. So that was earlier this year that we passed that, and now I can go out back and target shoot and keep my skills up.
As you should, your property. But look, Michelle, before you lead us into our first discussion, I'll remind everyone you're watching live, obviously. So if you got a comment, please comment below. Remember to subscribe and follow as well. And we also want to highlight some other shows we have on the side. We have the Matt Kieran show. He isn't here today. We are missing Matt and Gabriella, but the Matt Kieran show. Go ahead and watch that. Subscribe that. I don't know what the show's coming up next, but he does a whole range of things that if you're interested in politics and history, Matt Kern Show is the place to go. We also have the Clayton Javen Show. Myself and Clayton, we give some financial news, give some advice, some counsel, kind of going through our journey and where we are. If you know anything about the news lately, kind of saw the crypto industry moving a lot. So we'll talk about that. If you watched last show, You learned a lot about meme coins and why you should stay away from meme coins. And lastly, just follow the Coast to Coast podcast network. We have so many shows coming out and so much to learn from. And Gabrielle is not here, but the American Latina, she also has a show. If you love to learn about really immigration policy, she's the person to go to.
She's so good. Gabriella was really, really good. And your information that you and Clayton about the financial piece really, for everyone, but more so for the youth, the next generation really needs to focus on that financial
Yep.
piece.
Yep.
You guys are great. Keep it up.
Appreciate that. But you have some information. I heard some words about selling a wall or something. What's up with this? What are we selling? What are we selling?
So just recently, the Biden administration has started selling off the pieces of the border wall. And it's all up in arms, and they're trying to figure out a way. The Trump administration right now is trying to figure out a way to stop that. How it makes a big question as to why are they doing it? And from a couple different news sources, is that it's part of uh, an old bill. So it's part of, let me get the exact thing, the National Defense Authorization Act of 2024. And what that was part of it, where they had to actually sell or redistribute unused border wall that was from 2017 to 2022. Now, I think that was a straight, this is what we're going to do, this package to try and, thumb the nose of the incoming administration? Absolutely. They're doing it by the books, though. I don't think it's right, but they're doing it by the books, which I don't know. I think Texas could buy it. Do you think Texas should buy it?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, what would Texas like? Do you think Texas would keep it on the border? Like they'd keep it
Oh,
a border wall?
I would hope so. I
Okay,
mean,
I mean,
we've talked about that. That was Trump's first. I mean, if you remember, that was Trump's first administration, was build the wall, build the
yeah,
wall, build the
yeah,
wall, and that never happened. But I think it also goes to the larger play of the immigration issue, right?
yeah,
That was what he ran on, and if he doesn't fix it, then what else? What else is there to do?
yeah. But I wonder if Texas buys it. If you remember when Texas was big on putting up their own defenses and wires during the immigration crisis, the Supreme Court said you can't do that. That's the federal government's job for immigration. So I wonder if Texas, if they could and they decide to buy it, what would be the legality there? Would the Supreme Court say you can't do that, or you can, but you can't use it as an immigration wall?
Yeah, then I would say that it is a wall to keep our herd from leaving
There you go.
our
There you go.
state.
Honestly,
Similar to, so for example, like right now in this area, this is totally me going off on a tangent, Javen. We are fighting the
mhm,
solar farms, which are, I do believe in solar. I think solar is awesome. I actually want solar on my home when it becomes more cost effective, right? Um, but right now they're buying up land like crazy and
wow,
putting up solar farms. And the largest in the United States was just approved in Wisconsin here. So the PSC, the Public Service Commission, approved a private solar farm. It's a privately owned solar farm for that in the town of Plover, which is in central Wisconsin. Um, Long story short, there is a threatened species called the prairie chicken. And the prairie chicken used to be very prevalent in my southeastern corner of Wisconsin, but it's no more because of they're threatened. And they want to build these solar farms around their breeding grounds and around their nests. And in this particular area, has the most condensed population of all of the prairie chickens. All of that to say, we talk about a wall. Their whole argument about what will protect these chickens, these prairie chickens, are fencing. Their fences are going to protect them, and they're not going to build these within 500 feet of that. But a bird is not going to adhere to a fence. It's going to have to go around. It's going to have to maintain. It's going to have to reshift its own habitat. And it stinks that if that is okay enough
Mhm.
that why can't we put up a wall then on the southern border? If we can fence out, I know that makes absolutely there's no comparison to that, but it really irritates me when people start talking about walls and borders when you can't think of like saving the environment for chickens,
Yeah.
whatever. I like chickens.
I mean, yeah, I definitely see where you're going with it. I can see the angle. We could, it may take us a little bit to get there, but I can see where you're going with that. But another question I would have to ask is, I mean, what does this say about our immigration policy right now? I mean, what is this saying? I mean, you already pointed to the idea that they're doing this out of spite of the next administration, definitely. So is this their way of saying, hey, for the next few weeks, walls open, come on and flood our borders because we're tearing the wall down, we're selling the pieces of the wall.
I think so. I think that is another avenue
Yeah,
that they talk about. But at the same time, when you look at the app, like the immigration app now, so the border crossings went down for a couple
hmm,
months because they just shifted their entry point. So
yeah,
no longer are they going through, the the I don't want to say the wild, but it went down for a while because it just shifted their mode of transportation is all it was. And but I do think that this is more so of a sign of we are just going to allow you to come in right now
yeah,
until the next administration is. But I hope that they do that we buy it back or we use it if we have to. I want to use it before we buy it back because
yeah,
again, we've already paid for it. Might as well use it.
yeah. And if you remember during the Keystone Pipeline, that was one big thing that Trump did to bring energy prices down. And then when Biden came in office, he cut it. And I know myself, I went to what they call a pipeline graveyard. And as we were there, we were asking them, okay, what are you doing with it now that they're selling it? And we're, okay, for how much? 30 cents on the dollar. Who's buying this? China. So now the question is, okay, who's going to buy this wall and for how much? I mean, if we're going to be giving our adversaries all this material for 30 cents on the dollar, then we might as well just give them the tanks too. I mean, what are we doing? Wasting money like this? Just it doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. And that brings up a good point of the wasteful money. What are
Mm-hmm.
we truly wasting our money on? We've already bought it and it's there.
Yeah.
And we're not going to recoup everything that we have. I mean, similar to like driving a car off a lot. You
Yeah.
you know, you buy a car off a lot, as soon as you drive it off that lot, it starts to depreciate in value.
Yeah. And people's argument, mostly on the left, but will be, okay, if you want to waste money, building a wall is wasteful. Well, a couple of things there. I mean, one, you're seeing a lot more Democrats wanting a wall. Now they want a wall. But me firsthand, I've been to the wall, the border. I've spoken to Border Patrol firsthand, and they've told us a wall would be a great investment. It would not stop illegal immigration, it would slow them down. That's all Border Patrol needs. There is there has never been a time, I know Trump may say this, but those on the inside Border Patrol, there has never a time they actually thought a wall would stop immigration. That's not the purpose of the wall. The wall is to slow them down. And that's why they want the
Correct.
wall. And somebody say
Yep.
the fence, you can cut through a fence. I mean, there's you can push back on everything, but I mean, you talk to people firsthand on the ground. Border Patrol, they will tell you the resources they need, and they're getting it from this next administration, but not from this current administration.
Right? No, absolutely. And to your point, it goes to the next administration, right? We have a spring election, and you look at the future elections, and what is that going to say? Are the
Hmm.
Democrats, are they for the wall now because they are at risk in the spring election or the next year's fall election? Or is it going to continuously be a sticking point until we get some sort of resolution?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it going to be as hot of a topic?
I brought this up. I think a previous show. I don't have the video now, but I had the video earlier. It was AOC. Or no, it wasn't video. It was just her a tweet she tweeted out, and it was after the election, and they saw Trump's numbers really increased in this election. But these are the same people who voted for AOC. So they voted for AOC. They also voted for Trump. And she asked, she said, I really want to know, why did you guys vote for me, but also vote for Trump? And their answer was simple: because we believe you and Trump care about us. We believe you care about the real issues when it comes to immigration, inflation, what say you. Now, to your point, I wonder now, will that shift the Democrats' mindset and their agenda now, seeing that you're having those who will vote for the most extreme on the left? Will that say, okay, we need to move a little more to the center?
Wisconsin, prime example. The Baldwin Trump race.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump won Wisconsin, but also Tammy Baldwin won
Yeah.
for the Senate.
Yeah.
It was close, but I would like to talk to those people, those split ticket people, and ask them,
Yeah.
what was their deciding factor on why they split their ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a funny story, which is not funny, but crazy story, which lead us to our next topic. But one of my trips to the border, and I think we were in Texas, we were standing. It was us on this side, the Rio Grande, and then Mexico on the other side, and we're standing there talking and kind of looking around. And all of a sudden, a drone flies over us, and as it's happening, we're assuming it's a camera crew that we're with is doing this, and then we realize it's not one of us. So we asked our guide, what's this drone? Like, oh, that's the cartel. And like, what? Like, oh yeah, they always do that to see who's over here, to know what's going on. They always want to know what's going on. They won't mess with us, but they just want to know what's going on. And I'm like, oh my
On
goodness,
our
that
side
is
too,
on our
on our
side.
side of the
Mm-hmm.
really,
Yep.
which that I mean, I guess it goes back to we're border patrol agents, right? Because what kind of legality do we have as a country
Yep.
to stop that, to
Yep.
prevent that? And like you said, that is a great segue
Yeah.
into our next topic about drones.
Yes.
Javen,
Yes. I
drones
mean,
over New York.
it's a bird. It's a plane. No, it could be, but but people say it's really a drone. I mean, yeah, we saw drones over New York. We saw drones over New Jersey. I think Jersey's the most recent one, I think. But yeah, people seeing sightings of drones and they're like, okay, what's going on? Are we under attack? Is this just civilians? They have no idea what's going on. So first, I really want to know, Michelle, what's your first initial idea on drones themselves, and should there be some restrictions on flying drones for
I love
civilians?
drones.
Okay.
Love drones. I love because I'm a tech data nerd. I'm the one behind the curtain that edits and produces and stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. Both of my kids have drones. So they're the cheap ones, and a girlfriend of mine has the real nice expensive one, and we've used it for various work events as well. Um, so I love it. I wish I was more apt to it. I'm not very good at video games because I don't know why my hand-eye
Mm-hmm.
coordination on that. So I can't get drones. So I always ask other people to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I know that there's already regulations on it, right? You can't fly within XYZ amount of an airport. You can't fly over governmental buildings. You can't do this. You can't, there's already some regulations. I think also for the size of, so if you have a larger size drone, you have to, you've got to register that as well.
Yeah.
So they know. I have a big feeling that people know what these are. I think it's truly some mass hysteria mixed in with some other things. Javen,
Yeah.
before we get into my tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, well, first I'll say Michael says UFOs. So I don't. I mean, technically, yeah, unidentified flying objects is definitely some UFOs. I mean, what I think. So first about the whole drone thing, I don't really think there should be restrictions on civilians flying drones. Of course, that rule will change for a military base, top secret, whatever, private property. That's I'm all good with having regulations on that. Um, but I mean, all in all, I think drones are okay. I'm with you. I'm a tech person. I think drones are cool. They allow us to do a lot more things we couldn't do in the past when it comes to business and marketing. when it comes to, I've just learned you can use drones to do roof assessing.
Yes.
That's amazing. I know, like
Yeah.
that.
Infrared
That's
heat, the
that's amazing.
opportunity. Yeah.
Amazing.
Delivery
So
services.
delivery services, exactly.
I
So
think there's a story out of Florida, where actually we'll talk about regulations, where a gentleman shot a package delivering drone out of the sky. And so we'll see probably some future things. I think it just happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'll have
yeah,
to pull up and see if I can. But I don't think that's right. But the opportunity for so many different things. Now, on the flip side, too, like my kids, like I don't want to have to regulate or sign a log of every time my kids want to go in the backyard and fly a drone.
yeah,
I don't, I think there's an appropriate time or place. And as Michael said with the UFOs, here comes my tinfoil hat. I absolutely do believe that some of them are, one, out of this world, but two, I think it's our government. I truly
hmm
do think that it is them, and they won't say it. In particular, a couple reports of in New Jersey, some nuclear waste or some nuke materials went missing on December 2nd. A container ship, container, cargo container, not the ship. Anyway, just the container.
I mean, we lose
Showed
jets.
up
So we probably
damaged.
lose a ship too. We lose
Yeah,
jets all
right.
the
It was
time.
damaged and missing.
Mm.
And it was right around the time of those reports started of the drone sightings. It's was right prior to that. Um, and a expert, a gentleman came out and said that they might have been like radioactive sniffing materials, which the government has denied. They said according to what does it say? Defense is it Defense Daily? So I can get them right. That the stuff was found. They don't give any reports of where it was found, how it was found. They just said, but we're not using the drones for it, which I don't believe that for a second, and I
Yeah.
don't believe that our government is not spying on us. Come on.
Well, I was gonna say to that note, to that point, I'm gonna play a video from President-elect Donald Trump when he was asked about the drones. Before I do that, I want to say what the current president Joe Biden, his response is, "There's nothing nefarious going on," and the FBI in the past 24 hours is telling people do not point laser pointers at them. Apparently, doing that. Don't point laser pointer at them, which is like, what? Now, my thing to that is, okay, if they're drones, why does it matter? But also, maybe people might think they're a drone, but it's really an airplane. So I can see why they would say that, which I can see that. But we can
Yeah.
talk about the more. I'm gonna play Trump's video, and then let's get into that discussion.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you
Want to
shoot
know
them
the
down?
truth?
What?
They're very,
intelligent
We
briefing.
should-
So Michelle, first thoughts.
Project Bluebeam. You know what? You should look that up, because
Okay, I put that up.
we'll talk about that. And we'll see. Well, I think that'll be nice to be as a nice, uh, not next week, because next week's Christmas. Let's do something fun next week. But
Yeah.
coming up the following, we should talk about that, because the different types of programs that our government has ran underneath our nose for years. Of course, they're not going to tell us.
Yeah. I mean, so if it is the government, why? I mean, or what do you think they're doing if it's the government? I mean, do you think they're hiding it from us because they're doing something they don't want our foreign adversaries to know? They don't want they're
I
doing something they don't want American people to know, or this could honestly, well, you tell me your take on that first, and I'll tell you my take.
So Honestly, I think it's a combination of one, mass hysteria. Let's get that out of the way right away because what you had said earlier about laser pointers at airplanes, that's already against the law. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And at night, things can be misconstrued. An airplane versus a drone versus any of Starlink, for
Mm.
example, is every time it seems to fly over our little town, there's one or two people that think the world is ending because they don't know what these successive lights in the sky are. So right away, I think it's high beginning of, some of it has mass hysteria because they don't, it's unknown.
Yeah.
Um, there's truly, I think it could be a couple things. We have, going back to immigration, um, we have some terrorists that have come through that have slipped through the cracks. And with New Jersey and New York being as densely populated as it is, and it's Christmas time, uh, I wouldn't put it past our adversaries to try and get something through that these drones then could pick up,
Yeah.
because we're not being told everything of what they can actually do. I know that because of the expert, that because an expert says so on the TikTok or on X. However, he was the real deal. I wish I had the clip, or I had sent us the clip to play it. Of That's what he does for business. He builds drones, and he builds military sized
Mm.
drones. He partners with the defense, and that was his suggestion, was that he feels that something, that they are sniffing for something similar to this nuclear thing that went missing. Could they be sniffing that's now recovered? How did they recover it? Where did they recover it? I don't know. They're not giving out that information.
Yeah.
So,
Later in that press conference with President-elect Trump, he was asked, was he briefed on it? And his answer was no comment. And I find that odd for President Trump to say no comment to something. So it kind of,
right.
for me, that kind of tells me there's a couple things there. Either one, he wasn't briefed, he doesn't want to seem like he's out of the loop, or he was briefed and there's something that we really aren't supposed to know. But at the same time, at the beginning of it, he says the military and the government know. So I mean, and at this point, he's president elect. He's a president elect. So you have to take whatever he says as truth because he's
Hmm.
the most powerful man in the world, in the country. He has all information. Because for those who don't know, the president elect are given national security briefings. Even past presidents are given national security briefings. But yeah, so he has information at hand. So I wonder, is there something that we're not supposed to know that's out there?
And I think too, because I like drones so much, I think, why not capitalize on it? This is a perfect opportunity to get in the business. I mean, think about the job opportunity of flying drones. So we talk about like new technologies, and you're being first to market on some technologies. What if this is just a crazy marketing ploy by a brand new drone company
Yeah.
that, which crazier things have happened. I think that's a good opportunity for people to start looking at other tech related jobs. Tech industry is so incredible right now that you could basically write your ticket to be those a drone operating delivery
Mm-hmm.
service.
Mm-hmm.
You could own your fleet, especially in the blue collar. So for me, when you had talked about home remodeling, with my husband being an electrician, I have lots of friends that do that, that are in blue collar trades jobs, and that infrared on drones saves so much. You look at insurance adjusters and
Mm-hmm.
insurance claims. So now no longer do the safety aspect of insurance adjusters having to get up on the roof on these ladders to try and look at hail damage.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so many opportunities for success using drones. I got pulled over thinking so here's a story, funny story. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Christmas time, family and I are in tow on our way to grandma's house for Christmas. We're low and slow in it because it's wintertime and it's snowing. and looking at all the lights. And then all of a sudden in the sky, I saw UFOs. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are UFOs. Look at them, babe. Look at that. And come later, I found out a couple of days, weeks later, that there's a drone club in the area. But I was like, I gotta pull over and take pictures of this, because that's what moms do, because we're weird like that, right? And I pull off to a side road that I thought was a side road, but apparently it was the main road coming on. And so I was already pulled myself over and looking up at the sky at these drones with kids in the back seat crying, ready to go to grandma's house for Christmas. And the cop pulls up and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, look, it's in the sky. Look at, what are those? And he's just like, what? Oh yeah, that is crazy. He's like, huh, I'll have to listen for reports, because he didn't know either. And I had made a post on Facebook about it, and it was like, hey, did anybody else see that? And they were like, oh, it's the Waterford Drone Club or whatever it is. So I was the crazy lady out there looking at those drones years ago, and I think they're so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. See, now I left my tinfoil hat in my closet for this show, but so I think there's civilian drones. I mean, even President Trump, President Biden are both saying the same thing. They're not. There's no proof that they're foreign drones. They were shot out. They would have been shot at the sky by now. But things can change. We all know. And again, that's if you take the word of two
Weather balloon says what?
Exactly. Yeah, right. Really. That was that during Biden or Trump that happened? That was Trump.
During Biden.
That was Biden.
That was during Biden's
Okay.
first year, second year, but he
Okay.
let that thing. Remember, we watched that. Media watched it from Alaska over Canada down through the States, and I think and then through the States, and then we shot it out of the sky off the coast of.
Was it Montana?
No, I thought it was north. I thought it was off the coast on the East Coast.
Oh, really?
Michael, if you're still watching, look it up and let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, I forget what that was, but I remember that was a big story.
We
But
let it get too far into our interior.
Yeah, I know, it was so easy. That was too easy to do that. You're right. Yeah, that was way too easy for that. But
although on the flip side, if you remember, we also shot down another one. So it wasn't just one. I believe it was a second one, and the second one was just a random weather balloon group.
Yeah, I can remember that one. I remember that one.
So we have to be particular about shooting them out of the sky. But I'll tell you what, come too close to the ground near me.
Yeah, I mean, so
I'll end up like Florida Man.
Okay, yeah, you'd be on foil. It'd be funny. It'd be funny. I don't want to get too far in this tangent, but I'd say if somehow we find out that those are drones, then that those are foreign drones, then putting together this and the balloons, I would honestly have to ask myself, are we in World War III? Is this how we're fighting World War III now? I mean, it's not it's not a land invasion, but they're invading our airspace. And at what point do we retaliate? So, I mean, it's like, is this World War III here? So,
yeah, that's a scary thing to think of. But is it a tech war? Is it truly a tech war? And yeah, I don't know.
There's a quote by Albert Einstein. He said, "I don't know." What did he say? He said, "I don't know how World War III is going to be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." I was like that's a deep quote. That's a deep quote. So
that's a thinker right there.
Yeah.
But, oh my goodness! Speaking of thinkers, did you hear that Trump came out and wanted to privatize the post office? Totally off topic, I know. I'm going to switch gears completely, because I think UFOs and drones are amazing. I love them, but this, I think, is even more interesting because it could save us some money.
That's true. That's true. And it's crazy because, fun fact, I'm sure people know this already.
Tell me, well, introduce it. Tell me about it. Like, because you had been mentioned something about it.
Yeah.
And it, like, rumor had it, and I'd heard it. Just give me the 411.
Yeah. So a little history about that. The post office used to be a more important department. So when it was, so of course it makes sense because the post office was founded by not Thomas, Benjamin Franklin, and it was important because that's how you got mail. And but then when email came around, believe Matt would know this better than me. I believe it was Richard Nixon who was like, why is the postmaster general on my cabinet? Because it was a cabinet position. So it was like, why are they here with me? We have email now or something, or text messages or some more technologically advanced stuff. So it was cut. And if you go to DC, there's the post office building that you can now go inside and go to the top floor. It used to be Trump Tower, now it's hotel, and it's the best view in DC. It's better than the Washington Memorial. It's free to go in, great view. Go to the elevator, very top, best view ever. But that's old post office, and it was right on Penn Avenue. And now I don't even know the post office is now the HQ is. But yeah, former President Trump, he was talking about how he wanted to privatize the U.S. Postal Service, and mostly due to the financial and the pricing struggles and the model that they're having right now, particularly in regards to the delivery service. So while there was no really like formal position on this, you know how President Trump is. He likes to say this stuff. We've seen the past. He's criticized the USPS. We saw it a lot during the 2020 election stuff going on, but he also criticized it for charging too much for delivery, for packages, and not able to compete with e-commerce companies like Amazon and things like that. And he's often argued that the agency's pricing structures have contributed to its financial losses. So his solution is, I mean, it's a reasonable solution: privatize it. Let a business person come in and let them figure out how we make money off of the postal service. I mean, do you think that's something that could actually work? Giving a business person the reins and kind of letting them dictate how we price getting our letters and deliveries?
Yes. However, I do think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And we have family that is out in Whitefish, Montana, Bozeman, Montana, I think it's Whitefish, who owns a FedEx store. So each one of those FedEx and those Ship It stores are all independently owned and operated,
Mhm.
and they perform great. And that's where I think it could be successful if they were to take something like that and kind of duplicate that process and replicate that for our postal service. I love my mail lady Holly. She is amazing. She does go above and beyond. However, they're hemorrhaging so much money, and from what I hear is that they're also buying into the Green New Deal, where they are going green with electric vehicles, which is incurring other costs. So there's mail trucks that are all electric. I think too, with couple hiccups I could foresee would be tax day. So rural communities versus city communities. I we get our taxes done right away, but there's other people that are scrambling. I mean, you watch your local news, and in downtown Milwaukee, there's a 2-hour line
Mm-hmm.
on tax day, and they extend hours on. It just I don't know how those types of mass mail in things could work, because I could see some big bottlenecks with that in a rural versus a city setting. But at the same time, I don't, I love Holly. I love Holly. I'm going to say this, Holly. I love you and I want you to keep your job. Um, but I don't think that our tiny little town doesn't need one. We have all of 2,700 to like 3,200 people in our town, in my tiny little my little town. Um, do we need a full staff running our little post office? I don't
Yeah.
think we do. Do we need a post office? I don't think we do, because you go 10 minutes in either direction and you're in a, well, not either, but you go 10 minutes to the east and you're in a bigger town
Yeah.
that has at least 5,000 people.
Yeah. And you spoke about the royal implications. A lot of pushback for this has been that it's a public service. Think about the labor unions, the rural community you talked about that depend on this heavily affordable mail service. What's going to happen then? And I just thought about something, but then I retorted my own argument. It was okay when it comes time to elections, is a private company going to be delivering these ballots? This is an important election, but at the same time, I was thinking, wait, Dominion and things like that, they're privately owned, so it's not like the federal government's doing anything with that. I don't think so. I mean, they partner with them, so there's oversight there. But I mean, it would also save the government a lot of money. You wouldn't be having pay the salaries of these federal employees. And fun fact, I didn't know this, but like male people are actually in the line of succession. Now you got to get far down there, but somehow they're in line because they're federal employees. They're on the list. But yeah, I mean, it would save us a lot of money for federal tax dollars. But I could definitely see the implications on if we didn't have it, because is it a public good? Should the government be doing this? I mean, if it's costing so much money, if someone could do it better, just let them do it and then just have oversight of them. There's nothing wrong with regulation. Too much regulation, there's an issue. Protect the consumer. If you can do that, then I think most people would be on board with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a great point with the whole Dominion, because I would have argued about it like, oh, elections and voting and
Hmm.
I don't. You're already worried about being bipartisan as it is, and if we have you have a you have a Penzi Spices or Minocqua Brewing. And in Wisconsin, if you know Penzi Spices or Minocqua
Hmm.
Brewing, they are the farthest left of left or companies. It's a spice company and a brewing company, and they are very vocal and about their distaste for anybody on the right. I mean, it's and even more so Trump. But what if they were part of somebody that purchased your local things?
Yeah.
Can they be trusted even with the oversight or the regulations or Big Daddy watching you? Are they truly going to have the right frame of mind when it comes to elections?
Yeah.
Because there's already questions right now about the validity of elections.
Hmm.
The squad just 2 days ago put forth a bill to do away with the electoral college, which that should be it. Yeah, yeah. Like
I
two
didn't know
days
that.
ago, Monday, was it Monday? Monday, they introduced a bill to do away with the electoral college. I can't say that I can't put it past the trust.
Yeah.
So I don't. So that's where I'm torn. Where I'm like, yes, we need to do budget cuts. Yes, we need to. I think figure out a way to fix it. But is privatizing the right way if somebody like a Penzi or a Minocqua buy it?
Yeah. Yeah. See,
I don't know.
the reason I don't think it'll happen is because, well, one, this would require congressional legislation to do this, and post office, if you don't remember, but in 1964 or three, when Lyndon Johnson was trying to pass the Civil Rights Act, a lot of calls. He made a call to a senator in Louisiana, and the way he got Louisiana congressmen to sign up to sign to support the bill was to give them a post office with federal dollars in Louisiana. So the post office apparently has become an easy win for these Congress people to come back to say, "Hey, I got federal funding to this state, and this is how I did it." So I feel like that's just too easy for the congressmen and women and senators to say, I got to win. So let's keep it here. Those are just easy wins for us.
Tammy Baldwin, case in point, she has been in government for 25 years. She has wrote, I believe she's gotten 7 total bills passed,
Mm.
5 of which were naming post offices. I mean,
Exactly. Exactly.
why I just
Yep.
it
And then she can go and said, I I 5 bills I authored, they all passed. So I gotta
mm-hmm.
say, I
Yep,
I authored five
yep.
bills and they all
And
passed.
nobody reads past the
Mm.
fine print of what they were. They're just naming a post office
Nope.
here and there in some rural town.
Nope. Nope. And
Yeah.
but of course Congress, going shifting gears here, Congress has the power to do a lot of things. And if you watch the news recently, they have the power shut down the government directly or indirectly. Yes. Actually, we have news that just came out. I was driving home and I was like, "Oh, this just happened. This is going to be great to talk about on the show." But as most people saw, there's a spending bill that needs to be passed, and if not, the government will be shut down. So basically, what we have, just information that just came in, is the House tried to pass a bill to fund the government for 3 months, which would provide $100 billion to disaster relief, uh, and suspend the debt ceiling for 2 years. And it failed with 38 Republicans joining Democrats to vote it down. Now, why? Fiscal hardliners thought it was too expensive, and Democrats weren't buying into it, which weren't too surprising. Now, why does this actually matter? Because if no deal is passed by Saturday, the government will partially shut down. We know most of us have seen that before. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers could be furloughed, and a critical services might face delay. Plus, this chaos highlights the GOP infighting and leaves Speaker Johnson in hot water once again. So the fiscal impact, which I'm sure most Americans are feeling now, but understands that for the personal wallets, you're going to see a shutdown. It could slow the economy and it could shake up a lot of the markets. When people don't have confidence in their government, which is backing most of the financial markets, how are you going to keep on investing and spending your money? Now, my advice personally would be don't panic. Stick to your plans and work it through. Talk to your Congress people. Now, Michelle, first I want to get your thoughts on this whole bill together, and we also want to talk about the the role President Trump played in this. We saw him not support their previous plan, and then he supported this plan, and it got shut down as we saw. I mean, what do you think led to the failure of the spending bill?
To there, well, I just think because there was too much in it.
Mm.
I think the first version of it, I think you gave the number of how many pages it was. But I mean, it was
137.
it was like 1,500
Yeah.
pages, that first one. And then it got cut to, I think, 116 pages, 115, 16, 17 pages, I want to say, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, but there's still too much in it. I know our one of our reps, Tom Tiffany, voted against it, which I like. Do I want the government shut down? No. Do I want some of our services to slow down? No. Am I okay with, you know, a couple parks not being open in order to save a couple bucks for a while? Yes, I am 100%, because of the fact that there was so much spending in it. I don't think, for example, Javen, they wanted to get, I think it was $5 billion for RFK Stadium. And you know me, I'm not a sports balls person, but they wanted to build a brand new $5 billion facility in DC in hopes, I believe, to bring one of the teams back is it the Nationals?
Yes.
Is it the Nationals?
Yes.
Um, is that a sports balls team?
Yes.
Um, but anyway, so see, I don't know the sports balls, but I know the spending, and I think it was cut luckily in this second bill. Um, but one, the government shouldn't be in the sports arena market, period. Wisconsin knows that firsthand with the Brewers,
Mm-hmm.
with it being the number one lobbied bill last session. It was insane. Um, but I don't know that it's cut enough.
Yeah.
I think we need to really sit down and look at it and cut more.
Yeah. What do you think this says about Speaker Johnson's leadership?
He's got such a tough battle. I like him overall as a like I like Speaker Johnson.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's got a lot of work ahead of him to try and get, the approvals with that. I like how he's willing to work on it. It's not an all or nothing. It's not a my way or the highway, which I don't think a lot of people are realizing or recognizing. And I think that should be recognized, is that he is willing to put in the work. He's got big shoulders. You wouldn't take that position on if you weren't willing to take on the responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to hear you, Javen. What do you think
I
about
was,
it? And
yeah. I mean, what gets me is that President-elect Trump, his thing, he wanted to reduce or eliminate the debt ceiling. And as conservatives, no, because then what that would do is, for those who are watching may not know, it would mean that it doesn't restrict how much the government can go into debt. It means you can spend. So we're supposed to be the party of less spending, and we can't do that if we don't restrict our spending. Of course, I haven't been alive, I don't think, a time where we did not raise the debt ceiling. We've risen it every time this has come up. So maybe that's why he said just get rid of it. We're gonna raise it again, just get rid of it. But that's my thing about the bill, is that I'm glad they said no, because I think you need to cut spending. There's no reason. I mean, that's Elon Musk gonna do that. He's gonna protest that. So I don't know why Trump's saying don't worry about spending, because you're gonna cut it. So why we should worry about it? They've cut already. Um, the bill itself, I mean, of course, we should keep the government open, but it's so important that we do stay strong with this. And for me, someone who's big in the financial market, this will probably hurt the markets, but in the long term, it's gonna help not the American people, but the economy altogether. And it's crazy that we were so willing to even entertain this idea. And it was a fund the government for 3 months, $11 billion for 3 months. Like, oh my goodness, that's so much money. That's so much money. And now, to their credit, the debt ceiling was only going to be eliminated for 2 years, but 2 years is a lot of time. I mean, we saw how much President Biden spent in 1 year, and President Trump spent a lot his last year with COVID. So
right. Yeah, and I
truly,
mean, yeah, they both had their fair share of spending for
yeah,
sure. Um, I truly think that we need to cut the fat. We need to pull back, you know, cocaine for monkeys.
hmm
We
yeah,
need to pull back, funding and research and all that, just to keep our basics. And truly, I don't think that the government deserves a raise, because that was one of the big things that they were talking about,
mm,
was giving salaries, give higher salaries to our legislators. There was a that in the bill, and I I honestly think that they should be making the same median wage that their average state is.
hmm
I think that they should be making the exact
I
same, no
agree.
more.
Yeah,
That way they have to fight for our state a little bit harder to bring our wages up here at home so that they can make more money there.
yeah. There's
I
a
mean, they're
state
already getting paid, for their, they can get paid. Look at
per
Pelosi.
diem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look
there's
at,
a state. I don't know what state it is, but they do that. Legislators get paid for the average income of their state. Local state reps get paid for their income for their state, which is great model to have. I mean, it's gonna incentivize you to get paid more. It's the same thing as being an investor in a company or a CEO. If you get stock options, you're gonna want the company to do well. So you're gonna do whatever you can, 'cause you get paid more. So that's money's incentive.
correct.
It's just how it is.
Yes.
So, what do you think Trump's involvement is hurting or helping the situation here?
Well, anything Trump never helps, right? Because again, they're just so jaded by him
Yeah,
that anything, you bring his name up and people, pucker, good or bad. I don't think that he's helping or aiding. I do think Doge is has got a lot more weight than what I expected.
yeah,
I didn't, Elon does a great job of doing what he does best on his platform. Um, but I don't think that he should be the end all say all as
yeah,
well. And I love Elon. I love him. I love it.
yeah,
Um, but I don't think that he should have as much weight right now.
yeah. I saw a tweet that said, I think this was from a Democrat legislator, Congresswoman. She said, "Who elected Elon Musk?" I was like, because I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot, if the left had someone like that, we would be doing the same exact thing. We would be
We would.
whooping, hollering, we're letting these people control our government. We would definitely be doing the same exact thing.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely projecting 100%. But it goes back to like, you know, sitting on the library board here, with the budget. You know, you have to work within your budget, and unfortunately, if you can't work within that budget, you're going to have to make some tough decisions and
Yeah.
have those tough conversations.
Yeah.
With them fresh 24 hours and only looked at their spreadsheet for 45 minutes. I don't know what that is, or if it needs to, because I haven't actually done, you know, a good deep dive into the budget and what is there. But something as small as our little library, if we have to cut, we're going to have to cut. Same with the actual government.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, once again, you're watching the Coast to Coast Network podcast. Michelle and I are here. We're missing Matt and Gabriella, of course. But as we come to to a close, I think we're time for our favorite part of the show.
Hey,
Michelle,
Javen, before
what?
we leave, we've
Tell
got
me.
another comment.
Oh,
Michael, awesome. Thank you. It says the issue is turned into a political football every time. It's framed as a false dichotomy.
ah,
But there are other options besides either shutting down the government or jeopardizing our children's future through reckless spending. Bravo, Michael.
good
Absolutely.
insight. I like that. And
Absolutely.
that's a great point that can I don't want to bring us down this hole too much, but it brings up a great point of who we're electing and thinking about the ages we're putting into office. I mean, look at our president now. I mean, he's been in office oh my gosh, since my grandmother's mom was a child. So, it's really who we're electing. We have to ask ourselves, are they really thinking about the future generation? Are they thinking about the today? I mean, people our age are thinking about tomorrow. What are they thinking about? So, Michael, that brings a great point of who are they really thinking about with all this spending? Because they won't be paying for it. These people who are 80, 90 years old, 70 years old, they won't be paying for it. Their grandkids and
Right.
kids will be paying for this. And yes, they're not thinking like that. They're thinking like what the lobbyists want today, not what the American people want tomorrow.
Right.
So great point, Michael. And that was a great way to close us out with that comment because that's so important to think. Now it's time for at least my the show.
Rant and raves.
Michelle, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. And it piggybacks off of Michael's statement with the future spending because um, 2 weeks ago, Act 10 was overruled by a very liberal judge here in Dane County. And yesterday, day before last, that was put on hold because it's going to the state Supreme Court. My rant is still and will be Act 10 until we finalize it. This has been argued in the courts till we've gotten blue in the face. Act 10 should stay because it really, at the end of the day, it saves us money, and I I think that the union public members and the government job should be putting forth their own 401k.
Yeah.
They should be supplying their own stuff. I have to pay into it, so should you. So until that goes, that's going to be my rant for moving forward.
I like that. I like that. I know mine's actually a rave now. And I know that's surprising. Mine has to do, you kind of brought up already. It was the Elon Musk tweet. Now, take out what he was tweeting about, but the fact that he was able to mobilize such a forceful grassroots effort by just a tweet and get people to actually call their legislators, that's incredible. I mean, you have to give him kudos for that. Besides what you feel about
Absolutely.
what he did it for, it's just incredible that he was able to mobilize, get people who may be more apathetic towards it to actually be engaged and actually call their legislators, which was amazing.
I love that.
It is.
I mean, and it is a rave when when people can actually make their voice heard
Yeah.
and make that happen, because seeing government change in real time is so exciting, and watching people, you know, we get into politics all the time. We live in this realm. This is our life.
Yeah.
But those that it's not their life, but seeing like the epiphany moment, the aha moment that their legislators are listening to them, that's so good. That's a great rave.
Yes. And I want to say about getting people's voice heard, folks like Michael out there who are watching, on our next show Thursday, we encourage everyone in the comment section at the beginning of the show, top of the show, tell us your rants or raves of the week. Like Michael already
Yes.
he gave us his, which was incredible. So we love to hear from you, kind of see, do we miss a news story that we should talk about more maybe next week or even at the time. So please let us know next week. But as we close out, I want to thank everyone for watching tonight. You can find us again on YouTube, full video and clips. And don't forget to check out the Matt Kieran show, the Javen and Clayton show, and Gabriella's the American Latina show. American Latina show. We'll be back next Thursday. No, we don't. No, next Thursday
Yep.
is Christmas.
We're doing next Thursday. We're doing a Christmas one.
Oh,
I
you're right.
thought.
Okay, it's not.
We're doing
Christmas.
just a Christmas
Okay.
a Christmas jam.
Okay, then yes, we will be back next Thursday. Probably more lighter, lighter substance, which will be fun. So I encourage you guys to go ahead.
I wanna ask Michael to come back next week, and he needs to tell us in the comment before we cut out. I want to hear if Santa could bring down the chimney one policy change at the federal level. What would he want changed? Sleep on it, Michael. I don't know who you are, but you sound like you're pretty cool. Like we could have a drink. So I want to hear what you have to say next week about if Santa could bring one policy change down the chimney for you. What would it be?
I like that, Michael. We
Isn't that
love the
good?
engagement. We hope that a lot more people are continuing to engage with us. Remember, guys, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, our personal social media handles. Thank you guys for listening. Matt and Gabriella. Hope to see you next week. See you later, guys.
Bye, guys.